What is this, episode 6, I believe?
Episode 6.
Skipped a week last week because Blake was out of town.
But yeah, we got together this weekend and watched the fight, so that was fucking good.
It
We should have figured out and just done it then, but
It was way too hectic.
there
It was way too
much going
hectic.
on. I realized while we were all sitting there watching the fights, I was like, "There's no way that this would work as a podcast."
No.
Like it's not even.
No,
It's
not
not even
with that many
close.
people. You would have to have it'd be like me, you, Caden, and Devin could probably do it. But as soon as it's like 6, 7 people,
Right.
that's impossible, dude. You can't. It's too hectic, and then nobody will be able to hear anybody. Everybody's talking over each other. Everybody's shouting. Then we're all getting a little loosey-goosey, and we're getting even louder.
No one feels an obligation to talk when there's not many people. Like, so there'll be spans that you don't realize it, but you'll be
Right.
sitting when you're sitting in a group of like 6 or 7, 8 people. Like, there'll be times where no one talks for a while. You know what I mean? Like,
for
like
sure.
5 or 10 minute stretch where everybody's just quiet watching the fights. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like I noticed those more. Like, thinking about it in terms of broadcasting as anything entertaining.
You need somebody
it's
to like kind of push the conversation.
Yeah, it has to be
Just a little closer.
more guided.
Yeah. I want an update on how your job's going and what you've been up to, because I don't think you've talked to me about much
Yeah.
of your duties at the new place. So if
So
you can get that up a little higher.
basically, yeah, that's good. There you go. Yeah, so basically, I work for the Division of Waste Management at DHEC, and I
Okay.
work in more specifically the Hazardous Waste Division for state facilities. So the Hazardous Waste Division is split up into federal and state facilities. Most of the federal facilities in South Carolina are airports, and for the most part, it's military bases. We have a lot of military bases here, so I applied for that job. I applied to work for both, both sides of the division, federal and the state, and I got the job with the state. So I've been working on some state facilities. And honestly, I don't think anything is confidential that I work with. Everything has a public notice, so I can talk about pretty much anything, you know what I mean,
Cool.
in terms of that. But so I am basically the project manager for 5 different sites in the state that operate under a hazardous waste permit from the state. So basically those hazardous waste permits that's what grants you the ability to work with hazardous waste.
Right.
And especially because these people are not doing it for free. It's a business. You know what I'm saying? So, like, obviously, all that stuff has to be, looked over. Like, what are you doing with your hazardous waste? Like, is it spilling everywhere? Like, what's going on here? Like, are your people going to get sick? Like, all that sort of stuff, right? Like, how are the neighboring landowners, like, how are they going to be affected by this?
Runoff and pollution.
Are you close to any streams? Like, how shallow is the groundwater underneath your property? All this stuff, right? So basically, that permit those permits that those people operate under for hazardous waste management, they are like, every little detail is worded out and parsed out over hundreds of pages by lawyers. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And lawyers and environmental people who, know what questions to ask.
Exactly.
And then a lawyer is the person who, like, okay, we're going to literally write this out so it's basically black and white.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
But the same thing, though, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it black and white, right? But when you realize, when you start to do that, you realize how truly complex things are.
Well,
and
it's extremely complex, and then you're dealing with shady actors who are intentionally trying to find loopholes to save a little money.
Of course, and that's
so
what
not only are you dealing with the complexity of the environment itself, you're dealing with asshole humans and people who are always going to try and find the loopholes, and people who are, but it's extremely interesting. It's a pretty boring way to start the podcast.
I mean, that's my job, man. It pays the bills.
I mean, I did ask, but
it pays the bills, and it takes
like,
some serious attention.
It's extremely interesting.
Oh man, but there's definitely litigations between state and facility.
Oh,
And
yeah.
even you wouldn't even think it, but even between the state and the federal
Government.
army bases. Yeah.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
these are like I said, these are federal facilities that the state is managing,
right.
right? Like it's weird.
So certain, like, the federal facilities might technically have different regulations, and then the state's trying to impose certain state legislature on these federal sites.
Exactly.
And then
So
you come between conflict.
basically, the federal government has given the states the ability to manage hazardous waste in their state, right?
Right.
They've given that, and then the EPA is the federal level
Right,
that
right.
that sort of makes the base code. This is the base code, and you have to be as strict as this, if not more strict.
Right.
So
right.
basically, when those federal facilities are operating on the state, technically the state is managing their use of hazardous waste. So that's where the traction comes in because
Right.
these sites maybe I don't think that's hazardous waste. Maybe a lawyer doesn't think it's hazardous waste either. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like all that sort of thing happens.
So how much of, like, the litigation and the drama of it are you involved with? Do you have to put up with, or are you kind of disconnected from that side
No,
of things?
things happen. I mean,
Or are you in charge of your
Well,
not
here's-
company, but your
Yeah.
group of
so I had
your department? Are y'all, like, in charge of maybe answering some of the questions when the litigations come up and making sure
absolutely,
everything? Okay,
absolutely,
okay.
absolutely. So we work with the sector of enforcement. Right, there's another.
Okay.
I work with the permitting where
So that's straight up your thing.
I'll manage the documents and what does this facility do? What hazardous waste is used here? What has spilled here? What corrective action measures are happening? All that stuff is spelled out in the permit, and that's what my domain is.
Right.
Like I know the scientific specifics of this site and the legal proceedings that apply to it. Right.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of what I do. And then I'll work adjacent, like I was saying, to enforcement. And enforcement are the people that actually go in and do inspections. Right. Like
Right.
I just had the guy that works in inspection come to me and say, hey, one of your sites.
They report to you.
They're like, hey, I'm just letting you know you had a site that failed an inspection. There were some things that were going on, and then basically they're breaching their permit.
Right.
So,
Oh, yeah. That's heavy. That's a lot.
it's so freaking dense, dude. It's
Yeah,
so it makes
that's heavy.
For the last 2 weeks, I've been banging my head against a wall, literally.
Yeah. That's
Like, but
that's a lot more tedious work than I do. That's for damn sure.
Literally, I'm gonna just say, but like I've been sitting in this office like full of all this like material, right,
Mm-hmm.
that has accumulated over the past 40 years
Right.
for these sites. And I'm just like, what in the fuck? Where do I even start? And I'm gonna be honest, the state's like record keeping and our access to records, like it's not super organized. There's so much.
Yeah,
shit.
I'm sure.
There's so much.
I'm
shit.
sure. And that's specifically dealing with
It's-
environmental waste.
Like
imagine all the rest of it.
A shit storm.
Like
of
you're dealing with like
information.
1% of all of the shit the
I
government's
know,
having
right?
having to collect.
I work in one little small room of a huge building.
That's wild.
Like it feels like I'm back in school, cause like when I go to the fucking
Walking down the hallway.
yeah, walking down the fucking hallways, it smells like an institution. You know what I mean? You just smell that like government building smell.
Right.
Like what is that? What is that smell? You tell me. What is that?
I don't know, but I
It's
think
in all of
everybody
them.
knows exactly what you're
Yeah,
describing.
it's in all of them, and it's not like I can describe it to you.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if you were to walk into the building,
just
you'd be like,
know.
I know that smell.
You just
Like,
know.
am I back in 5th grade? Like, what's going on here? Like,
I feel like part of that smell is, and I may be wrong here, the freshly vacuumed room smell.
right? There's
that's a lot,
constant
'cause they're
custodial.
yeah. I think
And
that has a lot to do with it.
I hate the bathrooms. The bathrooms are just like public school bathrooms, dude. They're shitty. There's piss on the floor. Like,
Bro.
it's fucking gross, man.
My bathroom at work is Lowe's public bathroom.
It's probably nicer than and I work on the floor with lawyers and doctors and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? What animal works on this floor? Jesus Christ.
It's hazardous waste. It's your job to deal with it.
Actually, I'm going to be honest. That is considered solid waste and not technically hazardous waste, sir.
I think it depends who it came from.
Yeah, if you test that fucking waste, it might be characteristic, bitch.
Oh, man.
It might not. You might not think it's waste, but it's characteristic. Okay, that motherfucker will ignite. That is an ignition hazard, son. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man, I need to find a new job. I just talked to my boss today. I asked him if I can cut back to part-time because there ain't no damn work. I show up. I mean, the past like 3 weeks, I've worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and by Thursday, Friday, there's barely enough work, and I'm taking the days off anyway. So I just went ahead and told him straight up. I was like, cut me back to part-time. I'll work Mondays and Tuesdays because that's when everybody actually has work after the weekend ends. And then
Like, so you're not driving up there for...
Yeah, for like today, I went to Hendersonville. I made like $22. I drove 3 hours round trip and probably spent $15 in gas to make $22.
Yeah, no, that's
It's fucking ridiculous.
There's no point.
But I don't want to leave the company because there's plenty of times of it's such a seasonal thing that I know that I'm like one of the. He told me when I asked him that I told him straight. I was like, I don't want to quit altogether, but I gotta cut back to part time so I can pick up something else to mitigate my income.
Right.
And he was like, dude, we can't afford to lose you. Like, I don't want you to go. So, we'll work with you however you want. Because, dude,
I mean, that's what he should do. He's like, hey, I got people calling me. Do you want this work? Like, that's how it should.
Well, what bothers me is they tell me all the time how valuable I am of a customer or of an employee of an assembler, but they don't like prioritize giving me work over other assemblers. Which you'd think, but then again, I know my worth. Like, say, for instance, Hendersonville today, I could have sat and built wheelbarrows, but because it's Hendersonville and I'm used to getting up at 7 o'clock, which admittedly, this is my own fault, I could get there by 9 and lock in 45% commission, but it's an hour and a half of a drive. I usually get up at 7, so I'm getting there at 9:30 because I'm usually leaving the house around 8. So if I don't sign in by 9, then I'm at 40% commission. And if I don't get my 10 units, like once you get 10 units, you bump up to 50% commission. And wheelbarrows don't count towards that unit count. So I can build 50 wheelbarrows in a day and I'm still locked in at 40% commission. And I can build about 3 wheelbarrows an hour, 4 if I'm moving super quick, but I remember and taking like no breaks but I'd say I average like 3 wheelbarrows an hour. I can unpack and build a wheelbarrow in like 20 minutes. And they invoice at $11. So my invoice is $33 at 40% commission means I'm earning a little over $13 an hour. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry.
Right.
My time is worth more than that. I'm not fucking driving an hour and a half to Henderson. I would literally rather not make that money at all, come back home and spend my day looking for a new damn job.
Of course.
Than sit up there making $13 fucking an hour when I got a damn bachelor's degree. I'm not doing that shit. My time is worth more than that.
For sure.
But it sucks because like they're very understanding, but at the same time you don't even have to have a high school diploma to do my job. It's a lot of fucking ex-cons, it's a lot of drug addicts, it's a lot of fucking dropouts that do my job.
If I was you, because I don't know, this might be good or bad for you. I don't know, because maybe you're the type of person that needs to get out, and then you seem like the type of person that kind of needs to get out. But like I know you are, but dude, the virtual space right now is crazy. Like remote jobs are
I've looked for a ton of them, but it's
so many people apply. Like
that's the problem.
Thousands of
that's
people
the problem.
apply.
That's why I gave up on looking for graphic design jobs.
Yeah,
is because everything you apply for remotely, as far as graphic design goes, is getting thousands upon thousands of applicants.
Right.
And then half the time, these people are looking for somebody with experience. And like I have the education, but my portfolio is garbage because I never all my work in my portfolio is from school projects, which I obviously did the minimum amount of work just to get a decent grade. Mm-hmm. So my portfolio is garbage. So I'm applying for jobs with thousands of other people who I'm sure have much more expansive work than me, and you just get super discouraged.
Right. I mean, just being compared to that many people is insane.
Yeah, and it's not like with an artistic job, it's a lot different than I'm not applying to fucking Wendy's and getting denied from a job at Wendy's. I'm getting denied because my art is not good enough.
I wouldn't put it that
well,
way.
a combination of like, and also like the competition. There's a lot of other people. They might not have even seen my application and had time to look through my portfolio.
Work for somebody?
I don't.
It's weird. It's
I really don't.
Like that's the thing. Like, the beauty of it nowadays that you don't really have to.
Right.
You don't really.
That's
have to.
right now. Technically, I don't work. I'm an independently contracted assembly technician.
That's my goal.
I don't have a boss.
My goal is to not have a like. That's my personal, professional goal.
Still use the company to make money. I'm not fully freelanced. I'm just
Right.
independently contracted.
Right.
So I've still.
So you have the 1099.
Yeah, but I still like. It's still like I call him my boss, but technically he's just my coordinator. He's not my boss. I am my boss, but
Right.
he communicates with all the stores and lets me know where they have work and where I can go. But I can't change that.
Like, how does?
I got offered that position, and it's garbage. Dude, those guys are getting phone calls every minute of every day. They're constantly on the road, running back and forth to every single store. They're like having to talk to the stores when the stores are complaining about, like, they deal with all of the bullshit of having fucking drug addicts coming to stores and assembling things poorly. I'm not doing that. And the pay, the pay was like literally gonna be like maybe a 5% bump in what I can make just off commission.
Yeah.
But then you get benefits and you're not independently contracted anymore. Right. So that's the thing too, is I'm no longer independently contracted. And I already quit this job one damn time, and they called me and begged me to come back, and I came back. And when I came back, I told them straight up, I said, I'm not doing Walmarts. I'm not doing Academies. I'm not doing Home Depots. You can send me to Lowe's, which again is my fault, and I shouldn't complain about not having work when I've put that precedent on myself. But if I was to take the promotion, all that's out the window. I have to go to all of those stores. I have to deal with all the managers and all. Dude, fuck that. I don't want to, dude, they got to be up by 6 o'clock because half of their technicians are at work in the stores by 6 o'clock.
Man, that's how like a lot of the,
and then dude, some people at my job will literally show up and work third shift hours, show up as the store is closing, go in the back and assemble shit all night and then leave in the morning.
Damn.
I don't want to be over just random ass idiots doing whatever the fuck they want to do.
That's wild.
It's like wrangling fucking sheep in a pasture. I don't know. It's so wild.
A lot harder
it's
than
so
that.
difficult.
That's why
I don't want to deal with
makes
people.
A lot of money.
No, that's my point.
I mean, oh yeah.
I know I was offered the job. I got all the paperwork. I know how much money they make.
I wonder.
It's not much more.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
But then again, it's a lot more than I'm making right now. But it's less than what I make on my best weeks.
Right.
But
that's the same problem with waiting tables and being a server.
See, that's why I'm just cutting back to part time, and I don't know. I might pick back up DoorDash or something just to do something. I don't fucking know. But then my car's at 305,000 miles. I don't need to be door dashing.
This is what I've been thinking. Like, I need to like stop. Like, I don't know. I really want to think about like how can I add $12,000 a year, just $1,000 a month, to my income? That, like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, racking my brain about it every day. Trust me.
Dude, we should sell some pizzas.
Dude, that is going to be so difficult.
It takes so much time.
I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm saying
time.
We are maybe at this point, maybe 30% of the way ready.
I know. Yeah, we're getting
maybe.
Yeah, we got to put a couple years in it.
Like to actually set up at a legit farmer's market and get orders. And plus, at the very beginning, we're going to be spending more money than we're making, almost definitely. So I mean, we're far away from that being a possibility.
Dude, you want to buy one of those ice machines? You know those like those little buildings that like the one that sits like right where the old movie theater is.
I know what you're talking about.
Let's buy one of those.
How much is it to get one of those?
I don't know. I'll sell my left nut for it.
I mean,
you think I can trade?
I don't know that the people running the ice markets
maybe a kidney will be a bit
also
more valuable.
invested in human organ trades.
I'll give you half my liver. It's got to be pretty valuable, right?
You went from left nut to half a liver.
Yeah, I'd much rather just give up one.
Way different values in that. I'll give a few toes probably.
A couple toes. I want my toes.
I'll be all right.
That's terrible, man. Dude, it's so crazy how we think like it's not cruel to just chop an animal's balls off.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's like we've compartmentalized that because everybody's
I'm at
like
the point-
dog safety.
I'm at the
or
point-
dog, animal welfare.
I mean, I'm honestly at the point with me personally. There's plenty of people out there who have pets who give them wonderful lives.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm at the point where just owning an animal is animal cruelty. Because I'm not going to be able to give it the attention it needs.
Right.
I'm not going to be able to exercise it.
That's
I'm not
why
going to
we
be
don't
able
have
to.
a- that's why we
that's
don't
why I
have a
don't want an
dog.
animal. I don't want a pet right now because there's no way I could give any animal.
I'm not walking around my dog around this neighborhood and picking up its shit. There's no.
No.
You will never see me doing that. I'm
And then
I'm
if
just
you
not
really-
gonna do it.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
If you really want to take care of your dog,
So I'm not gonna
especially
do
if you get like a decently healthy, like athletic, medium-sized dog, you want to be running it constantly, dog park like 3 times a week. If
Yeah.
you really want it to be healthy.
If I live
can't
on a,
do
if
that.
I
I
live
don't have
on
time
a
for
ranch
that.
and I need a dog,
Yeah.
I'll get one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I know I could give an animal the best life it needs,
Right.
then but right now, if I owned a pet, it would be animal cruelty, just owning the pet.
That's why we have bred tiny dogs because people are lazy.
Yeah.
And like that's just I mean, it's just so much easier
Yeah.
to care for a tiny little dog. Like they can't do shit.
Yeah.
They can't it's a labor to walk up the fucking hill or go up the stairs. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
it's not the same as having like a 100-pound German Shepherd.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like what? That's totally different, and that's why those animals, like they're relatively unhealthy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
well, I mean,
because
so
they've been
many dogs.
bred
Unless
to
you
it.
get a mutt, I mean, all dogs are unhealthy. All dogs constantly have, like any purebred has so many health problems. They're even like certain breeds. You're like, yep, don't get one of them. Their knees go out.
I know, man. This is terrible, but my dad and my stepmom's French bulldog, Lola. Man, she's a fun little dog. She's got so much energy, dude. So much energy. And she was a blast to play with, and she's pretty sweet, but she's kind of in your face. Like that's
Yeah.
just how she is. This is a thing that happens to that breed of dog. Like, she has a herniated disc, I believe, and it's like herniated to the point where it's cutting off nerve communication with her lower half.
It sucks.
So like she can't move her legs really.
Yeah,
It's so sad.
it's so sad.
It's so sad.
It
And
sucks.
it's like, man, it's the worst thing. Cause
And then like you hear so many stories, and
Sucks.
again, this is dark as well. You hear so many stories of dogs like, I've got this expensive, really nice purebred dog, and I've probably spent $5,000, $10,000 on surgeries over its lifetime. Or like, I've heard a story about I take the dog to the vet. I don't even remember what the operation was, but they're like, we spent $2,000 on a surgery. A month later, the dog died. It's like that.
Dude,
that
that's-
sucks for the dog, but
that's-
bro, put
know.
him down.
That's what my dad was
Let
saying.
me
They
keep
were
my
like,
$2,000.
This is literally what he said. It was like the surgery that they can do to fix her back. It usually not that effective, and it costs like $7,000. And it's like, excuse me, like.
It's like totaling a car. It's like shit. My car's only worth $3,000. It's gonna cost $5,000 to fix it. Fuck.
Oh my god, dude. It's like, you would think for that much money they would have it more figured out, but like it's not.
Oh yeah, you think that about American healthcare as well.
God, have mercy upon my soul. Can we not even talk about that, dude?
But yeah, no.
Yeah, it's too heavy for my brain. I'm
Just
tired,
so much.
bro.
Yeah, it's been a long day.
Yeah,
I'm
it's like-
exhausted today.
Like I can't even begin to contemplate American healthcare and insurance right now. Oh my god.
It's just like they charge exorbitantly for less than mediocre care. It's the worst.
It's like, well, you hear that all the time. Like America spends the most money on healthcare in the world, but we're like 30th or something on the list of
Yeah.
like healthiest countries. Like I don't know the actual
Yeah.
whatever, but you hear that sort of thing all the time. Where it's like, what are we? We're doing something wrong.
I bet the U.S. probably, I don't know, I could be speaking out of my ass because there's, I don't know, China and Russia and like India, but the U.S. probably wastes more money than any other country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Almost certainly, right?
I mean, I would think, but
Dude, I mean, I can imagine like at the amount of products like that we buy Like it's just it's and the constant in and out. That
Right.
like, oh my God, it's like of course.
I see it with my job. Like,
And we're being
I've probably built, I don't know, 80 grills in the last 2 weeks. That's a cost 2 stores. Who the fuck is buying 40? They're putting out 40 grills in 2 weeks with the Lowe's.
You realize that like
It's just wild.
500,000 people surround those things.
I know, it's just wild though. Like, that is so crazy. And there's 3 just in Spartanburg.
Yeah.
And one of them can dish out 80 grills in 2 weeks. And that's just grills.
Yeah, like what is it? I think the population of like Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson area is like it's probably closer to 1 million people.
Really? You think it's that high?
I want to say I really want to look that up real quick because
My guess would be, so you're saying
the Greenville, Spartanburg,
Spartanburg,
that upper metro area.
Anderson.
Yeah.
I'd say 700,000.
700,000.
That's what I'd have to guess. I think Greenville alone probably has 300,000. Spartanburg's probably pushing 200. Anderson's probably
the
up there
Greenville
too.
metro population, which includes, I don't know what all it includes.
Probably just Greenville City if it's just the metro population.
928.
Damn.
195 people.
Damn, yeah, I'm
But
way off. So if you're counting Spartanburg and Anderson and all that, it's well over 1 million.
That's Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson. But like that doesn't include the more rural
Counties.
stuff. Like that probably doesn't include Woodruff. That probably doesn't include
Lyman, Duncan, Inman, Roebuck,
No.
fucking
Right.
Greer.
Sure.
Yeah,
No, it probably includes Greer.
includes Greer. But there's so much development, man. There's so much development.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Same thing. Like look at what they're doing to the interstate coming into Columbia,
Yeah.
man.
They're doubling it, aren't they?
Doubling it.
It's insane.
They're doubling it, and I can't
We're
tell.
past 3 racks on the way here.
I can't really tell, but it looks like they're doing that thing. I'm not a civil designer or anything like that, but it looks like they're doing that thing where they have in some other big cities where they'll have two 4-lane roads, and then a 4-lane in the middle.
Yeah.
That changes direction depending on the time of day. Like
Yeah,
so, it's
yeah.
like in
I
the
know what you're talking
morning.
about.
In the morning, coming into the
Yeah.
city, it'll be.
During the rush
The
hour,
direction,
they'll
exactly.
make it a one-way
They'll
in the
direct
middle.
the traffic.
They're all 4 lanes in the middle, one way.
At certain times of day, right?
Yeah.
So I think they're doing. I don't
That's
know for
wild.
sure, but I think that's what they're doing.
It's
I can't
wild
tell
that
for
that
sure.
many people come in and out of Columbia every day.
God,
It's so many. That's wild.
Columbia is equally as big. The
Yeah,
metro
yeah,
area
for
of
sure,
Columbia
for
is
sure.
equally, like you got like Lexington, Columbia, West Columbia, and then it's
Like, they talk about how it sucks that America pushed out so much of our industry to foreign nations, like with the automobile industry moving to China and Mexico, and like Detroit collapsing and all, like the whole
sure yeah.
automotive industry got shipped out of the nation just for lower wages.
Not just automotive, but textile manufacturing,
Textiles
is
as well.
The big one around.
But
here.
also,
That's
there's a
the big
lot
one.
of huge companies that moved their labor to the U.S., like BMW.
True.
And then all of the subsidiaries of BMW, like Magna, like Gestamp,
Right.
like they're littered.
ZF Transmissions.
And then there's Millikins. There's like 7 Millikins in the upstate. I mean,
Yep.
there's still a
Yep, 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 yep,
ton
yep,
of
yep,
industry,
yep, yep, yep.
a ton of industry going
that
on here.
surrounds automotives.
Yeah.
Like for instance, one of the places that I work on, one of the permits is it's called Safety Clean, and what they do is solvent recycling basically.
Yeah.
And they do all kinds of stuff with it. But they do solvent recycling, so they'll get like solvents that are used to clean car parts. And like degreasers
Yeah.
and strong organic solvents, and they'll process all like mineral spirits. They'll process all that shit, and it's a large percentage of it is from car maintenance. Like car maintenance, cars in this country are such a huge business thing.
Yeah.
Like think about like my uncle. He works, or I don't know exactly what he does. He owns or manages like body shops. and he manages like a few of them.
Yeah.
And it's like they are so busy all the fucking time.
Constantly.
Like it's like they are constantly overworked and under time, like all the time. Yeah. And it's like, Jesus, man.
It's wild.
Like
how much we're a car-centric
it's so crazy,
society.
Man.
Like, that's one of the biggest complaints of, like, Europeans is how you can't walk or bike. Like, it's way more dangerous. You talk about cycling. And, like, dude, half of our metro areas don't really have sidewalks.
I saw this old motherfucker on the road the other day, right? He was going down a busy road in the middle of Colombia with a neon jacket on. I'm not saying in the bike lane. I'm saying in the middle of, almost, imagine you split a regular lane into two parts, right? He is driving in the middle of that half, like a quarter, right? It is like this is not your lane, buddy. This is not your lane. You're going to die.
The law disagrees with you.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's so
because we should be encouraging bike traffic and foot traffic in our metro areas.
Sure, yeah, I would agree with that.
But
he's riding not to get somewhere, but just for exercise.
Oh yeah, that's different.
So
I do admit that's different. But like, it sucks because
find a better place to ride your bike, homie.
Like, or like, be aware. Like, don't be oblivious to traffic around you. Like you know that this is dangerous.
Use the sidewalk.
I absolutely think we should encourage more bike traffic, and some cities really have it.
Like New York, you can't ride ride your bike on the sidewalk.
That's what I'm saying. That's why the law says if you're on a bike, you should either be in the bike lane, and if there's no bike lane available, you should be on the road.
So you know this because you're a biker.
Yes.
So
I've been cussed out multiple times for riding my bike on the sidewalk, and the excuse
by walkers.
No, by most of the time it's store owners.
Oh, okay.
Or I've had a cop do it once in Spartanburg, but I'm pedaling down the sidewalk.
If you're riding on non-storefront sidewalk though, like in a residential neighborhood.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, most people don't give a shit. It's mainly like if I'm biking like on Main Street, Spartanburg, and I'm on the sidewalk. But their excuse,
a heavy traffic area.
Their excuse is that what if some little old lady is walking out and I run into her?
It's dangerous, yeah.
I'm not going what about people jogging?
I mean, you always that's always like a story you hear about in New York though. Is like I got clipped by the bike messenger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's always like a thing.
But that's also where I'm saying just be aware. And plus, dude, I guarantee I can stop quicker on that bike.
People are stupid
than a lot of joggers.
You gotta make rules.
Can stop literally on their feet.
People are stupid.
Oh, I know. People are absolutely stupid.
You gotta make rules.
But I'm gonna continue to ride my bike on the sidewalk. I don't give a fuck.
I don't care if you ride around on the fucking sidewalk. I can see you. But if you're like if there's cars trailing behind you on a busy road, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. You're doing something wrong. Like, just go somewhere else.
Skateboards and longboards are banned in downtown Spartanburg because of that reasoning.
We've ridden there.
Yeah, and I've gotten yelled at. I've gotten told, you guys cannot skate here. There is no skating in downtown Spartanburg. But I'm like, I can hop on my BMX bike that weighs twice as much as a skateboard, is a giant hunk of metal, and you encourage me to ride that down the street because it's a bike-friendly city. It's just fucking stupid.
That is weird.
It's just such a misunderstanding of the safety hazard. It makes no sense.
It's kind of like where we're at with pot too. It's kind of the similar situation where we're like, what are we doing? No one knows what's going on here.
It's so
let's get a grip on what's going on here and not have just a ridiculous in between, unclear.
It's insane.
What the fuck are we doing, man?
There's legal smoke shops getting raided illegally. There's illegal smoke shops that are getting by with it, no problem. The discrepancy between what's actually legal and what's not legal is straight up just a word of the enforcement.
Enforcement is different in different places.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, what's happening?
And we've talked about, what if I'm selling something that's completely legal, but you come raid me and you have to send it off to a lab to get tested to make sure it's legal? And I was saying,
you're fucked.
Everybody in that community knows you got busted, but nobody's going to read up on the court ruling that, oh, no, it was fine. And just communities, it's like the headline issue. People read headlines and don't actually understand articles. It's like everybody's going to see the headline that this business got raided, and then everybody's going to hate on that business or some people it'll make them like it even more. But then nobody ever is like, oh, they actually weren't doing anything wrong. Like, the community is just going to banish them because they got raided by the cops. Everybody's just going to assume that they were doing illegal activities because those old farts around here still trust the damn police.
Not to mention that, like, those places operate on tight lines. It's not like they're stacking cash.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, I'm
like,
sure their margins aren't the
if
best.
they lose $5,000 worth of product, that was their stash, bro. They had sunk their cash flow into the next set of inventory. Like, that's how it works most of the time.
Yeah.
This place hasn't been around that long. Like, they just
Right.
opened up. Like, they're a couple years old.
And it also sucks because,
So, like, now, like, who knows what... I mean, they have plenty of other products that sell, like, glass and shit.
well, like, most of the community members love the fact that these stores have popped up and things are becoming more available. Most of the community, like, except the people who are just complaining, like, we don't want that shit in our city and all that bullshit.
No,
but, like,
a lot of
most
people
of the younger
like
people, are
CBDs.
like, even older folks are really getting into CBD.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of, like, even my mom, who's been against weed for most of my life, is, like, completely open to it for medicinal purposes.
Yeah.
She's even open to it recreationally. But so, like, there's such a huge chunk of the community that's actually appreciative of these shops popping up and making things available to them. And then the cops are just
So they don't have
stabbing the community in the back.
So they don't have to do illegal shit with some sketchy motherfucker that's not regulated.
Yeah.
Like, how about we just regulate it? How about we just have people watching out and making sure people are doing the right thing?
Yeah, I don't want to go meet some dude at a gas station to buy drugs. Just sell them to me. Just come, like...
It's inherently dangerous.
Just sell them to me.
It's inherently dangerous.
It's so dangerous.
It's like why do we do, like, it's so ridiculous that we still do that to people nowadays. It's
And
like,
I know
do we not understand? Like, I thought we kind of processed this, right?
Right.
It's like, but we didn't. It's
Well, I
we're
will
still doing the
say
same
it's definitely gotten better.
yeah.
Because, like, when we were in high school, in our community, you couldn't get a ticket for weed. Weed, you were getting brought to the jail.
Right.
Straight up.
Yeah.
And
It's
I
different
mean,
now. It's different.
nowadays you'll get a ticket. Nowadays,
Maybe you won't. Some
cops literally don't even do anything. So I do
I got
believe.
too much shit to do, man. You were going 100 miles an hour. I pulled you over. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's like most of the time it's like that. It's like you're endangering other people, and I'm kind of forced to pull you over.
Well, it's also how nice are you.
Right. Yeah.
That has so much to do with it. If you're actually polite with a cop
Yeah.
and you say, hey sir, how you doing? You doing all right today? Yeah, I understand. I was going a little fast. I'm sorry. I was slipping. I wasn't paying attention. And they're like, oh, I smell a little weed in the car. But I've been nice the whole time, and I've literally had cops tell me, thank you for being so cooperative.
Absolutely.
And then they let you off.
Yeah, and that's like how most human beings are, like 90% of the time.
And then you run into the one cop who's like, do you know how fucking fast you were going?
His wife hates him.
Get out of the car.
His dad never loved him. Yeah, it's like, it's a whole thing, man. It's like...
Yeah, the home life is definitely informative of the power hunger, for sure.
Man, you see like these I was watching this, I was fucking just dicking off at work today, and I was looking at these, like, this Karen video, like video of Karens, like male and female Karens, whatever. Like, we all know that stereotype, and it was so funny because, like, these people are obviously feel so powerless in their everyday life.
Oh, dude.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, you're so desperate to feel in control of a situation at all.
I'll find myself.
That you'll, like, manufacture one
it's
that you can feel like you can be in control of. And it's like, what? That is exhausting. Like,
I find myself scrolling through those videos, and then I'm like, I am tense from watching. I have to cut this off. This is literally making me upset. This is like, I feel my anxiety spike. I feel my adrenaline a little bit, and I'm getting tense. And I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself?
Yeah.
Why are you literally watching some other person's bullshit and getting worked up about it? Like, I can't watch them. I got to turn it off.
And internally, I realize that most of the time when I'm in a situation where I feel angry in public, it's like, I know because sometimes it's my fault. Like, say when I'm driving and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't. I encroached. I wasn't paying attention. Shit, I'm sorry. Like, I get it. You're yelling at me. I fucked up.
Like, so badly, I wish in those situations you could just be like, look, my bad.
But sometimes, like, man, when it's not your fault, you gotta just be able to be like, I don't know, man. Some people feel like it's a matter of pride. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they need to show that they did right in the situation. And I've never really been that way, like personally.
No.
Like, but like some people feel that way, and I like sometimes I have.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody like I care about, like I'll be more inclined to argue with them.
Yeah.
But like if it's like someone I don't fucking know at a gas
give a shit.
station
Yeah.
or like at the grocery store, I'm gonna not even break stride.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep on fucking walking.
Dude, I pulled out in front of, I was at La Fagata, and I pulled out towards Walmart, took a left out of La Fagata parking lot. This truck was all the way, I don't know, quarter of a mile down the road. I pull out. It's a 45 on this road, mind you, and I was going to Walmart. I had plenty of room. It's a 45 mile an hour zone. I pull out. I was doing 40 because literally I was driving, I don't know, 500 feet to then turn into Walmart. This truck that I pulled out, I guess I pulled out in front of it. Technically, I was in front. I didn't cut him off by any means. There was plenty of room. He drives up on my ass, like gets so close to my car and slams on his horn. At that point, I slam on the brakes because fuck him.
Bro, you're gonna die. That's so stupid.
No, I didn't slam on the brakes, but I pumped my brakes.
That's an 18-wheeler, dog.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, I thought you said it was
No, a little
250.
250, a little like F250 pulling the trailer.
I thought it was a.
Like a lawn care service.
Okay.
No. I would not. First of all, it was an 18-wheeler. I would not have pulled
Yeah,
out.
people, please don't be stupid. I've seen people slam on brakes in front of an 18-wheeler.
And I'm
you
not-
think that motherfucker can stop?
No, I
Like-
pump the brakes because he's intentionally running up on my ass.
Yeah.
And also, anytime you get rear-ended, regardless of the cause, it's the person who rear-ended you's fault.
I don't give a fuck. I don't want. That's so much of
But
my
anyway,
time.
anyway.
And maybe you die. It's like.
Anyway, I pull
Sorry.
and he runs up on my ass. And again, I'm doing 40 in a 45. I had plenty of room. Maybe I cut him off. Maybe if I could see the situation, maybe it was my fault. But I felt that I was completely in the right. I pulled out of that parking lot hundreds of times. I know what speed most of the cars are going on that road. I'm also very cautious. I'll have people waiting behind me blowing the horn because I don't like to pull out in front of people. So I don't think it was my fault. But anyway, guy runs up on my ass. I pump my brakes, slow down even farther because fuck him. And then he goes around me, cuts me off, and slams on his brakes.
That's the worst, man.
No, what's so great is I'm just sitting there thinking like, I'm not the one in a hurry. You literally could have just went around me,
Right.
went about on your day, had no problem. But you were so frustrated that I slowed you down by half of a fucking second that you even took the time to slow yourself down more to try and get on my nerves when I'm not the one who's in a rush.
God,
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, we're funny.
I'm like, dude, I wish I could have told, I see him in the mirror, doing all this, and I was just like, you don't bother me. This does not bother me at all.
This is what really gets me though, is when aggressive drivers are mad at other people. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna Hannah, my girlfriend, who I love very much. It's funny because you hear people people talk about their driving experiences, right? That's what we're doing.
Right.
People talk about it. It's like, point of contention in people's life. I feel like I want to get it off their chest. So
Yeah.
Hannah always tells me. She tells me very similar stories a lot, right? Like about her getting into these situations driving with people. Aggressively. And
This
I'm like,
seems to happen pretty often.
yeah, it's like, really, this sort of thing doesn't really happen to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, I know
how
what you
much how much are you in control
Yeah,
of these
yeah.
sorts of things? You are.
I'm a very courteous driver.
You know what I mean?
I try my best. If I notice, say I'm on the interstate and I'm in the fast lane, even if I'm speeding, if I see somebody running coming up behind me, I'll get over. But if you run up, if I say I didn't notice you, or maybe somebody was beside me and I couldn't get over, and you run up on my ass, and then you're on my ass, and I see you hitting the brakes, and sometimes motherfuckers will flash their lights trying to tell you, I will get behind an 18-wheeler and cruise at the same fucking speed as that bitch, and I will make you pissed. I love that power play. Somebody runs up on you, or they cut you off, and then you happen to be able to get back in front of them. Bro, especially on 26, those 18-wheelers are going 50 miles an hour. I'll get beside one and just chill. And you can see them. You can see it, and I know I shouldn't do this. I know I'm an asshole.
That's terrible.
Stop driving like a dick. So I only do it to people who deserve it. I'm pretty confident in saying that.
I do not hang with the 18-wheeler. I'm either like right behind it or
No,
like
I'm
right
saying
in front. Like I don't.
no.
Drive
That's
like
what I wouldn't be right beside it. But I'm saying if somebody's doing that to me, like
you'll block that.
Say
Yeah,
for
you'll block
instance,
it.
or I was driving. This was probably a year or two ago. I was driving and somebody cut me off, and the guy was a truck pulling a trailer, and I swear to God, he had to be within a foot of hitting my car. It was like he cut me off and forgot he was pulling a trailer. That's how fucking close he was to my car, right?
He probably did
Then
or something. Probably doesn't do it often. Or something.
But he had to have forgotten. Like he was so fucking close, and then he's an idiot because he cut me off in a hurry. My lane was stopped ahead, so I pull over in the lane he just cut me off from and go zooming past him, and then he's back on my ass again, and I locked him in behind an 18-wheeler for probably like 45 fucking minutes.
You're terrible. You're gonna get into a confrontation.
I don't do that often, and I really don't do it anymore. I'm much more relaxed in my old age.
Oh yeah, sure.
But no, like I can't fucking stand it.
I don't even participate.
But like I've talked about how much my pet peeves come from the lack of courtesy of others. Like most of the things that annoy me about other people in public is their lack of courtesy. Because I feel like I make an effort to be courteous. I want to give people their space. If somebody's walking down the aisle, we've talked about this, I step back, I give them room.
Well, see,
if I'm driving, I let people in. So when other people don't take the time to be mindful of their surroundings and be courteous to others, that's what pisses me off more than fucking anything.
Here's my thing. Here's why it doesn't piss me off. It's because I know that sometimes I have that day where I'm pissed and I want to get the fuck home.
I know. I try to keep that in mind.
It happens.
I know.
It happens more than not, right?
Yeah.
There's so many fucking people that you're gonna come in contact with somebody that's having a bad fucking day.
Right.
It's a universal constant.
Yeah.
Like we should know this. Like so you don't have to let that dictate.
Oh yeah, you're right.
How you allocate your time.
And I know
when
I'm
you
an
come
asshole.
in contact with one of those people, it's like,
I am admittedly an asshole in those situations. I can be, but also like, I mean, I'm never like
you in public tend to be.
I'm never rude to people.
You're not rude to people, but you will engage with somebody.
I'll open my mouth.
Yeah, like you. Yeah, and me, I'm not. I'm more on the side where I'll just walk away.
Yeah,
because
I'll say something.
See, that's where we're different.
But you got to hit me first. I'm never gonna come out of the blue. Like, I mean, but I've lost my train of thought.
What are the corrections that you had?
So
this
last
is totally unrelated.
Yeah, we can move on. I mean, last episode we talked about the universe and the Big Bang towards the end of the episode, and the first correction is about the expansion rate of the universe because I said that it's a known scientific theory and it's pretty agreed upon within the scientific community that we understand the universe is expanding at a faster and faster rate. Apparently, that's not as agreed on as I thought. And I talked to Quinn about it.
Nowadays, hardly anything's agreed upon.
Well, obviously, but when we're talking about legitimate scientific theories,
even still,
a lot of them are pretty agreed upon by the science. Like
they live in camps, dog. They live in camps and shoot arrows at each other. Okay, let's be real.
What are you talking about?
The scientific community. That's what they do. They'll build their little bunker in their lab, and they'll just shoot paper arrows at each other from across the fucking globe. Like. And then, it's like, you guys suck. Like, you guys.
What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about?
They live in.
Who is they?
Scientists. In, let's talk about,
Because you are generalizing a hell of a lot.
Let's talk about physics.
You're a scientist.
Yes. Let's talk about physics more specifically.
I don't think Michio Kaku is shooting paper arrows across the.
Listen,
that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you say?
Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they live metaphorically in ideological camps, especially in physics right now, because there's so vastly different worldviews. And these things are argued all the time in the public sector.
A lot of those things aren't necessarily the actual factual information that we're studying, the actual experiments going on. A lot of that disagreement is coming with what, like, the interpretation of the science, not necessarily the science of itself. Like talking about the Big Bang
Right,
versus
no, I get it.
his opinion on creationism and
Sure.
intelligent design. It's like, well, we're pretty most scientists like agree the Big Bang's how we started. There's not much disagreement there. The disagreement is on, like, well, what does that mean?
Where does it come from?
And how do- yeah, exactly.
All the actual like questions that come after that initial, like, okay, we've sort of figured out a possible and sort of plausible explanation
Yeah.
for what might have happened. Right? Now let's start to think about the implications that come after that. Right? And that's where we have very little agreement in the professional scientific community. Even in my side, and even in my field, some people, like, I'm an environmental scientist, right? So some people like biochemical remediation.
Yeah.
Some people like chemical,
Right.
just chemical oxidation. Some people like pump and treat because they're an engineer and they like to build systems. Like, maybe like, everybody comes at things from different perspectives.
Of course.
And it largely comes from our background. And science is the queen of specialized backgrounds.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just how it is. Like, and maybe in physics it's a little bit less like this because I don't know. I don't know a lot about physics, but like, I don't know. In my realm of environmental science, it varies so widely as to what you could even start to think about.
Right.
And that's what I think. Like, I'm sure physics is that way. Like, there's so much to just try to delve into, and the multiplicity and the fractal nature of things causes something that is seemingly not too complex. It's super complex.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super fucking crazy. And so I think that like, we compartmentalize and shoot paper arrows at each other. Now you get where I'm coming from.
I think that's a big generalization.
It's a comedic representation.
No, I know, but I'm just analyzing what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think that there is a lot of communication in science, and compartmentalization is the enemy of science.
Right, but it's the nature of science.
Not necessarily. Well, we compartmentalize.
Like, this is what Randall
We
calls
compartmentalize so that we have specialized labor forces that can go out and disperse and come back, and then we bring all our data back together.
actually
and then communicate.
Right.
So it's really not compartmentalized; it's specialized.
You have to do it.
Right.
You're right. You have to. That's how.
To be truly compartmentalized would mean they never come back and actually share data and try to come up with a common conclusion based on the data they've collected.
And that's what we're trying to do right now with AI. Exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to paint, like, even humans are trying to do this. Like Randall Carlson. He was talking about, this is one of his main critiques of, like, really hardcore archaeologists, because they'll spend 20 years on the same hill in the same mound of dirt. You know what I mean?
Not
it's
take
like,
a step back.
Metaphorically, people do this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, think, how many people do you know that have just worked at the same factory their whole life?
Right.
You know what
But
I mean?
in
That's
science,
what I'm saying. Like,
that can be valuable in science because
Absolutely
you
it's
need
valuable,
you
but it's
need the
an-
full spectrum of you need that scientist is going to take his whole life studying that 1 square foot of ground.
100%
And then you
agree
need
with
the
you.
big idea guys like
Yes,
Randall Carlson
absolutely.
who can take a step back and start to put the data together.
We need everybody.
We need everybody.
We need everybody.
So that's why I'm saying I think the analogy of everybody's in their own camp just hardly communicating is flawed. I feel like there's absolutely
it's just
certain
funny because
sects
it
of
does
science.
happen. It's just funny
that
because it
does
actually
that.
does happen.
And that's what, like, the problem with science is it's such a broad term.
It's not the end all be all, but it happens all the time.
Science is literally everything. Like, math is science.
Right.
It's just, and then physics is just math.
And see, that's why I majored in biochemistry, because so first we had math, right? And then we started to explain physics with math. And then as we started to understand physics, that helped us understand chemistry.
Right.
Because of electricity and mass, that understanding of physical properties. And then as chemistry Like we understand chemistry. That's the foundation of biological organisms.
Yeah.
I thought that biology and biochemistry was going to be the forefront of modern science. I was dead fucking wrong. You know what it is?
Computer science.
Computer
Engineering.
electric.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like it wasn't because it's not the frontier. It is still the frontier of science, but
Right.
it's just not the.
Well, there's so many frontiers of science.
Absolutely, but it's not at the forefront of consciousness,
Right. Right. And societal impact.
Like absolutely, it's not even close. It's not
Right.
even like in terms of how it's currently scalable and applicable to people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's and how long are we even going to be able to keep doing this, man? Because as we start to develop AI, right? I'm going to get real squirrely here. Well, as we start to develop AI, okay, it's going to greatly enhance our ability to get access to information because
Right.
we're going to be able to ask direct questions and not have to sort. Right now, we're just like, through
Yeah,
this shit
yeah.
storm. AI is going to take all that away and bring your question to the right where you want to the answer that you really want.
Right.
It's going to present all the truly relevant information immediately, and you're not going to have to do all that.
But there's.
So, hold on, let me finish. So what this means is that if you want this AI machine is going to answer your questions, right?
Right.
Who gets to be in charge of that? Are we
That's-
going to let it be free?
Should
Are we
listen
going to
to
let
the-
it be controlled? Like, what are we going to do?
Listen to the Mark Andreessen.
I did.
Yeah, I
That's
listened
why I'm
to that.
talking
I
about
listened to
this.
that today, and he seems very optimistic because
He
one,
does,
the
yeah.
language model is simply that.
He seems
AI, the current model of AI has no ability to come up with its own ideas. It's simply repeating information it's found.
the only reason he seems optimistic is because he's not committed to an outcome. He's like, man, I don't know how it's going to go, and I don't really care. That's
Well,
the kind of how he's like.
He's also
I have no control over it.
He is so involved in it
Right, and
that
he's-
he probably has gotten past a lot of the fears that us meager
Right.
mortals.
And he's not going to have to live with it as long as we are.
Oh,
so
yeah,
he's
that's
less
true.
concerned.
That's true.
He's-
But he spoke
Right.
on raising his kids with it.
sure, absolutely.
But
yeah,
my concern with AI, what you're saying about we're not going to have to weed through all the information to find the one answer.
right.
I like Neil deGrasse Tyson's analogy of wine shopping.
Sure.
And he says, if I go into a wine shop and the person working there, the associate asks me, hey, what are you looking for? And they point me to a wine, and then I go get that wine and I leave. You've robbed me from my ability to look through all the wine and discover something
Right.
on my own. So when all the answers are simply presented to us
Right.
in a blink of an eye, we're going to lose out on so much secondary information you learn by sorting through all the other stuff.
I totally agree.
And I feel like
because-
that would dumb us down a lot.
Well, here's the reality. It's going to give you say I ask, how was the universe created? Right? Like, say I asked AI
Yeah.
that right now. To truly even try to diagnose it, it's going to have to throw out so much information at you to even
Right.
you start to understand. But what it's going to do is give you super surface level stuff.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
still have the choice how far you delve.
That's true.
Because there's levels to it always, right?
Yeah.
But the baseline is gonna be way higher. I feel like it can possibly just raise the bar, just like the modern internet did, right? It raised the bar one level, so everyone now is on like a higher frequency of information than we used to.
Yeah,
be.
that's true.
And
I mean, that's
think
what
it's
the
gonna do
internet
this-
did.
Exactly,
Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
So I think it's going to take it one step further,
Right.
where like the baseline is just like a little bit higher, because now
Potentially.
you don't have to have the time and the reading capability and the processing power necessarily to sort all this information to get an answer on the internet.
But that's going to be very reliant on who controls and censors this model.
Is it going to be free? I think it should be free, but that's just me.
I mean, there's been years and years of research and development that's been paid for. I do think it should be a free service, but at the same time, like,
No. I mean, free sourced.
oh, free source.
Free
Okay, yeah,
source,
yeah.
not
Yeah,
not
I thought
free-
you meant like a subscription.
No, I mean pay to play. I mean, like I get-
Yeah, open sourced.
Yeah.
Sourced. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, open source meaning like there's no hard control on the access and the like programming of it, right?
Oh,
like you
man.
have to let people be free to create systems like freely. You can't just be like, okay, we got the
Right,
system, we control
right.
it, no changing it.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
fucks around with this anymore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you can't do that. You can't just get it and shut it down.
Yeah.
You can't.
So
You have to let it continue, because if you hijack the power, the raw energy, the raw power of that technology, all for yourself, you're just gonna totally
Yeah.
take all advantage of everyone, right?
For
Like
sure.
just obviously. So we have to let it be. Even though it's going to be scary, man, it's going to be fucking terrifying. Just like we're going through it right now with this whole onslaught of information and what is this and what is that. And
Yeah.
we're trying to decide and we don't know. We're dealing with it right now,
Yeah, yeah.
and we're going to continue to deal with it, right? As information becomes more and more available, it's going to be even more.
for sure.
We're going to have to decide.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this is the transition to us actually becoming an intelligent
Right,
species.
we're getting all this information. We're deciding.
'Cause,
Trying to make sense of it.
Like we think we're an intelligent species.
Oh god,
We're pretty far from it.
we're
But
just now starting to talk about
anyway,
it.
the correction from last episode was that it's about a 30-30-30 split on people thinking it's expanding faster and faster, people thinking it might be slowing down, and people thinking it's not doing shit. It's just being.
And then
the
you get
other
into the multiverse, and
yeah, I mean, that gets to the point of like it's almost pointless to talk about because it's not really
Yeah.
going to lead us to many answers.
sorry, go ahead.
The other correction, well, it wasn't necessarily a correction. It was just Quinn was pointing out that at the very, very, very beginning of the universe, at the very, very beginning, when everything was just superheated energy, the laws of physics were different. The materials within the universe reacted with each other in a different way. But then my counter to that was, wait, but that's still abiding by the laws of physics, because we can still recreate those certain circumstances and scenarios in labs and like the particle colliders and things like that, and we can still see examples of the laws of physics working in that way.
Theoretically,
Yeah. So
we've painted a picture of what we think it's like.
yeah, so we don't really know that the laws of physics just
No,
are fixed, like So it's I don't know.
It's weird because I like string theory. Here's why I like string theory. Not because I understand it or anything, but it just talks about that these strings that make up everything,
Yeah,
they're just a little oscillating thing.
yeah.
And like, I don't know,
String theory is way above my head.
but it's like this is something intrinsically that I've experienced: the eternal hum of the universe, the eternal.
But you can't separate.
Like, people in church. I'm sorry, that was me just now. But in church, right? People are like they'll speak in tongues and they'll like,
Yeah.
like praise. You know what I mean?
Right.
They'll like summon this. Like, and the same thing when you go to a concert, right? You're yelling. You're like, you're doing something like energetic and something like, I think that is this. I think that possibly those two things are connected. That eternal hum of everything that is consolidated in the same, which is like strings.
I mean, that makes sense.
And like,
I see what you're saying, but then
like
again,
it's connected somehow. That eternal hum is work. It's connected on a much smaller level than I think we understand.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. I just say that there's no way to separate
Particle entanglement. Oh my God, what is that? What if that's what's happening? And like you're in a concert, right? And your particles, your oscillating strings are in tandem
phase.
with all the same, same wave phase or whatever with those around you, and you've enhanced your
Right.
frequency because
That's really interesting.
you've amplified your frequency
Right.
by surrounding yourself with that.
That's really interesting.
That's what I'm saying. Like what? Like I think that there is something.
Well, all
to
I'm saying
that.
is there's no way to separate the experience from the observer. Like, there's no way for us to separate, did we feel that way just because like we're there and we feel like there's no way to separate our own observational shortcomings. Like, we're flawed human beings.
Right.
Our eardrums can't hear, but from like, however many hertz to like 20,000 hertz, and that drops it, our eyes can only see certain wavelengths of light, so it's really hard to, in the speaking in tongues, for instance, it like, there's no way to know if that comes from a true place of awe and they're inspired and that just is spontaneous, or were they also raised in a church where they saw people speaking tongues and then subconsciously grew up and were so moved by whatever they were hearing that they replicated something they saw in the past. There's no answer to that. We have no clue.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when there's no way to really separate our experience from the observer. Like, there's no way to know what is happening within our head just because that's the mode that our brains perceive it in versus what's actually going on. And if that is an application of our frequency, or if it's just we perceive it a certain way because you're in a concert and there's $20,000 worth of speakers blasting into everybody's ears the same exact frequencies at the same time. So there's that energy aspect too, which is fully manufactured.
Right, of course.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's beautiful, and I'm not discounting the beauty of it and the majesty of that.
Yes.
But there's no way to separate that from what may be intrinsically true about the universe.
Here's the larger. I guess I'm sort of saying that we were talking about earlier the progression of science, right?
Yeah.
And everything is based on fundamentals.
Right.
Okay. And they used to say this in psychology. This was like one of the core things I used to hear in my science classes, that everything psychological is biological, right?
Yeah.
You heard Dr. Tressel talk about this.
Right.
It's like everything that you see is your mind.
Yeah.
Like, everything you see is your own. Like, it's all your input is manufactured by your mind.
Right. Or interpreted
to construct your reality.
Right.
So everything is created by your own.
Interpreted.
Exactly, it's interpreted based on your signal. So, but what was I getting at? Oh yeah, everything psychological is biological.
Right.
What else does that imply? Everything biological is chemical, and everything chemical is physical, and everything physical is made up of these things.
Yeah,
so so it's like, I wonder how much the base interacts with, because there's so many levels.
It's a continuum. I mean, that's why I like to say that we are not in the universe. We are the universe. We are a collection of hydrogen and helium that evolved from the very beginnings of energy and light within not even light, just energy and heat within the very beginnings of the universe. We are those particles that evolved to the point where they can contemplate where they even came from.
Yeah.
We are no different than the universe itself. We are those physical processes happening with the electrons moving around. We just evolved to a complex enough form to actually question where that even started. I think that is so profound to say we are literally the universe.
Because that's what we're searching for. We're searching for that thing that connects us.
Why are we here?
That exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? What makes this up?
Right.
Like, is it God? Did God make it? Was it designed? Like, is there the strings? Like, is there multiverses? Is it a black hole? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, man, who knows?
It's everything.
Who knows?
It's everything.
Let's just keep on shooting our paper arrows until we figure it the fuck out.
That's why, I love, it's everything and nothing at all at the same time. It is literally, existence is everything and nothing all at once. And we just got to parse through what's reality. Yeah. And there is no true reality. Your reality changes day by day. Your reality can shift depending on a sentence you heard somebody say. Your reality can change when the Pentagon confirms that they see UFOs constantly.
God, that's so wild.
Your reality is constantly changing. So there is no set reality.
Man, that's the truth. That's the freaking truth.
We live in such a wild turmoil.
That's the real truth, right?
Yeah.
There's no
truth.
All right, I feel like this is a good place to end it because we're just we're so far out there.
I want to get deep
Okay.
Let me, because I want to talk. I've been going through a lot. I do want to talk about it. I want to be vulnerable.
Sure.
Because I feel like there is so much, people talk about social media and it's so happy, and you only see the happy, and we always compare each other to the happy, and it creates this division of like everybody looks like they're always having the best life in the world through social media because anybody ever post a happy. I want to be vulnerable and talk about just what I'm going through.
I think that's less and less true.
I do too. I do too, especially with podcasting, because people are actually talking through their experiences, and you're not just scrolling Instagram seeing people on yachts. Mm-hmm. It's a lot different. But like, and also I'm thinking like I've heard a lot of conversations in the past 2 weeks that I felt like I really needed to hear. Mm-hmm. And I know we don't really have an audience yet, but who knows? Maybe me talking through what I'm going through could help somebody else that hears it.
Of course it will.
But like, let me see. So I guess I'll say been living with my girlfriend. Well, I guess now not my girlfriend for 5 years, and we've been living together from the time we turned 21, and now we're 26. So basically, our entire adult lives we've lived together, and you've had a plan set, and you've got life figured out. We're literally going to get married in 2 months, and now we're separating. She's in the process of moving out. Let's see where I was. I had a little bit of like a direction that I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm so, my head has been so chaotic over the past 2 weeks, and I feel like I've had so many emotions, and like I feel like I'm like hyper aware of all of my emotions, while at the same time simultaneously being oblivious to my emotions. It's such a strange feeling to feel like I'm like so disconnected but also in touch with my emotions at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it has to do with just the turmoil that is my brain, or if it's like...
It's because emotions don't stay, man.
Well, yeah, and everything's constantly changing, and you have one thought and it moves to another thought, and that emotion might go into another emotion.
Yeah, and it's just like once you're going through something that is such an extreme change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that when you go through a change, it just forces you to like take account. Like, what do I still have left? Like what?
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like
for sure. And
you
like,
have to be aware. Your body, your mind just is forced to just.
And I feel like I'm completely and totally overwhelmed with emotion, yet utterly unequipped to process it or cope with it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm feeling all of the emotions all at the same time. Like I feel like I'm angry, sad. Like I'm angry that I feel angry at myself for not paying more attention. I feel angry at mainly just myself. I feel sad, obviously. I think that was pretty self-explanatory. I feel like anxious about the future and everything that's changed and what might be held in my future. And I feel embarrassed because I feel like I'm embarrassed with my lack of ability to cope, and I feel like I should be better. Like I'm embarrassed that I got so wasted watching the fucking fights, because I mean that's a direct result in all the shit that's been going on in my head lately.
You're fine.
But like, and it's all of those feelings, and then I'm disappointed. Obviously, things didn't work out. I'm disappointed that we're not getting married. I'm like this. It's just wild. Like I think this is definitely, I can say this has been the hardest thing I've ever been through in my entire life. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, man, it's terrible. And I've felt everything that you're feeling. I mean, everything you described is like, it's.
And it's so wild for me also because, like I said, our entire adult lives, we've had this plan and been set, and then it's almost like a wake-up call of, holy shit, you have not been paying attention to your emotions like you should, kind of. Like, because, everything's comfortable, everything's fine, we've got a plan, we're chilling, we're
from reality.
Saving up money, we're going to build a house, and then, like, we take a step back, and, we split up because the pressure of the wedding, and we were starting to grow apart, and we really wanted to make sure before we committed to anything and really got super involved that it was truly what we wanted. And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm also glad, like there's another emotion. I wouldn't say I'm happy, but I'm glad that we're being responsible and wise enough to take that step back and not commit to it and get married. And 5 years down the road, we got 2 kids and then we're screaming and at each other's throats because we've committed to this that both of us might not have even wanted.
Right.
So there's positives, obviously. There's also negatives.
I mean, I think that it's so much that you were talking about not being able to process. You're not equipped to cope. Yeah, you're not going to be.
Oh, I know.
But
and there's coming to terms with that as well.
It's like you're not able to, and
right.
that's kind of the whole experience of life because it never stops. You're never ready for it,
and then
you're never ready for it. And
on top of that, I'm trying to cut back alcohol, and I'm trying to cut back on weed a little bit, and I'm trying to get all that in check. But those are all things that they've been negative, absolutely, but I've used them to help calm the anxiety that is my brain, the fucking chaotic turmoil that is my brain. And I'm trying to cut that out while fucking tripling the amount of anxiety that's going on in my head. And then I'm trying to cope with that while also cutting out the things I've been using to cope for so long, but I need to. It's tough.
You're thinking about it way too much, man.
I mean, but I have to. I'm not. No, I'm trying to analyze it. I'm not trying to overthink it. But I wanted to talk through all that because I feel like
you're gonna keep processing it for probably years
for sure.
And it's like, man, yeah, no, I totally get it. But it's like it never stops.
Right.
And that's why it's like it doesn't matter. Like it's like it does. I feel like you have to just try to control yourself. Like it does. Like if you wanted to stop drinking alcohol, stop. Not because I know it might be harder now, or it might not be. It might be easier now. You don't know unless you just.
Oh, I know.
It's like. Man, sometimes the things that are seem like the worst, if you allow yourself to have time in it, and you really allow yourself to have time in it, that's the only thing that I can really, oh man, and things just continue to happen all the time.
Constantly.
It's like, man, and I've learned that feelings, I don't know, I've heard this said a lot, but it's like, man, they come and go. And just try to weather the storm. I mean,
that's like we're saying with your reality is constantly changing. Like my reality just got fucking slingshotted into the stratosphere 2 weeks ago. But what you're saying with emotions are fluid and they're constantly changing. That's also your reality in the processing of it is constantly changing. I have certain thoughts. Some days I'm more optimistic. Some days I'm more pessimistic. Some days.
And that's the only thing you control is your viewpoint on it. And if you look at it like, oh, my world just got turned upside down.
Right.
Which it might feel like.
Yeah.
But let's be real.
Oh, I know.
You got people that love you. You got food. You got shelter. It's not, and
there's so many positives.
No one died.
Yeah. And again, there's no animosity. Me and Denise still love each other more than anything.
The worst thing that ever happened to you is still the worst thing.
Right. But we, as hard as it is, we both agree and understand that we are doing the right thing.
Yeah, I think
that doesn't make it any easier.
It probably is.
But we're absolutely doing the right thing, and it will be for the best. There's no denying that.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's hard as shit, man.
But I just wanted to talk through that because I don't know. Maybe, just maybe somebody is listening and needed to hear that. Maybe they're going through something similar, and it just helps to hear other people talk through similar situations. But I mean, it's all going to work out. We gotta,
dude, loved ones. Don't give a fuck about no stranger. It's your loved ones. I don't give a fuck. That's what we were talking about earlier. I don't give a fuck about no stranger.
Yeah.
What I care about is the people. That I love, and that's the people that you love are going to be the people that you hate the most. how can you hate someone you don't know?
Yeah.
You're gonna fucking hate the people, and that's why another reason emotions are so flippant. And I try not to attach myself to them. Like you're talking about the hellstorm that is your mind right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is emotions, and a lot of it might be just you're more of a mental person. You're just trying to process.
It's also like I'm an artist. My brain's always been like that.
Yeah,
it's always been like that.
And especially when it comes to yourself, like you can be so critical. Like, what exactly did I do wrong? Like, but it's such a struggle, right? Like, obviously.
And you know me. You know how much I overthink and overanalyze, and I'm extremely like. Into the details of things. I want everything like I'm OCD in that type of way. Like I'm very much like overthinking every little aspect, and I know that is a fault, but also it's a gift and a curse. There's a lot of negatives that can come with that. There's a lot of positives.
You gotta learn how to wield it.
Exactly. And I would love to channel a lot of this energy back into more art, but at the same time, it's hard to find that motivation at the moment because I get home, I don't want to do anything.
Time,
oh, I know. I don't want to rush anything. I'm taking, and I'm not.
Be there with it. Just sit and just breathe.
Yeah.
And just be there with all that pain. Just feel it. Allow it. I feel like when that happened to me, I was so anxious to like make the situation right.
Right.
Like I wanted to fix it.
Yeah.
But you can't fix it.
Right.
You can't.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to just sit there and feel what it's like to be a fuck up. And embrace that feeling of God, man. Like just hold on to it, and let that try to remind you. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. You don't have to attach yourself to it all the time, and that's where it can get sketchy. Is like I am this.
Right.
I am this fuck up.
Right.
I can't be anything else.
Yeah, you can't do that to yourself. You can't do that.
Exactly.
You're
Once you start saying I'm totally I fucked. I can never. I can't.
Oh no, I'm not.
You can't do that.
No, I'm not. I mean, at least as of now, I'm not sinking down that lane at all. And I'm very introspective.
Comes from questioning yourself, like constantly, like.
And I've confronted that. I mean, obviously.
But there's a balance.
But you are not your actions. You are more than your actions, and all you can do is if you do carry out certain actions that you may regret.
No, you are your actions. You're not your feelings. That's my point. Like you are your actions, but you're not.
No, but you're
feelings.
saying like live. You got to live in the pain of that fuck up.
Yeah.
But know that isn't necessarily you. Mm-hmm. You have. That's what I'm saying. You're not your actions, but when you do things that you might not have liked that you chose to do, you got to sit with it and understand that you chose to do that, but you can learn from that and not make the same decision next time.
Yeah. And I feel like you're talking about going it in terms of like an artistic perspective. You don't want to go there. You don't want to.
What do you mean?
Like you don't want to. I get home and I don't want to think about it. Like you don't. You want to.
Oh no.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I will say I want to So that's kind of like talking a lot about burnout, and I think burnout is something a lot of artists struggle with.
Yeah.
And I know so much about how my hobbies are and how much I go through phases with certain things. So I've burnt myself out on trying to chase dreams enough to know that if I don't feel like doing it, don't force yourself to do it. But then there's the flip side of that where, there's like, well, sometimes you need to force yourself to do it. But it's a hard balance because if you're working all the time at it and if you're forcing yourself to do certain things artistically that you don't really feel motivated to do in the moment, then you're going to get frustrated with your own work and then you're going to take maybe a month off of it because you're burnt out on it. Well, so I'm very good at trying to be like, don't push it today.
Yeah.
Or be like, all right, today I'm not really feeling it, but I'm going to at least get in the studio.
And when it comes, don't be scared of it. Because you're gonna distract yourself from it, but like when it's coming in the back of your head, like, oh, I don't want to have that thought. Oh, I don't want to have it. I don't want to have it, but it's probably true if I'm thinking it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's like meditation.
It's like you push it away.
Just observe the thoughts.
Right.
Observe the thoughts.
Yeah. When they come, you can't just be like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Observe the thoughts.
Yeah.
And maybe analyze the thoughts.
That's where the creativity comes when you wow. That thought, that hurts. But that's where it comes. Like that, you know what I mean? Oh, it's so much, man.
We're probably coming up on an hour and a half. But yeah, I felt like, and I'm not asking for advice at the moment. I'm not obviously, I'm not like super emotional at the moment right now.
I shouldn't give any advice.
But like, I appreciate it.
In the past.
Like, I'm so thankful that you're stuck by. I mean, I know that you're there for me, and I know the support system that I have, and I know how many people care and love for me. But that's not, obviously that's not what I'm getting at. I'm not going to allow myself to separate from that. But I really just wanted to talk through this on the podcast because I've heard a few different conversations, like with Duncan Trussell, and a lot of things he's been talking about with spirituality. And there's just been a lot of stuff I've heard over the past 2 weeks that I've felt like when I heard it, I like had a thought like I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put this out there, and hopefully, maybe somebody needed to hear this. Yeah. I don't know.
Dude, yeah, I mean, I would say take it easy on yourself. The best you can.
I'll try.
Just take it easy on yourself, man, because nobody's got it right. Nobody's got it figured out.
Right.
Like, we're all trying to be that perfect spouse. We're all trying to be that perfect partner. We're all trying to be the great dad. It's impossible. But that's what the fucking game is.
Yeah.
To keep on trying all the time.
Oh, for sure.
You're going to fail. You're not going to have it right. Ever. But that is what it's all about, is just constantly trying, like you're saying, you have to think about it and you have to talk about it. But you have to be easy on yourself because you have to know that there's no blueprint, no one's got to figure it out.
Take it, analyze it, learn from it, but don't overthink it. It's a tough balance.
Man, it's so hard to be a human.
I wonder if it'd be easier.
And that's why we got to be good to each other, man.
I wonder if it'd be easier to be a human if we were just hunters and gatherers. I think it'd be easier or harder. I think it'd be easier in different ways and harder in different ways. I think it'd be easier mentally. It'd be easier communally, but it'd be much harder physically, obviously. Well, we're sitting in an air-conditioned house in cushioned chairs.
Yeah, I wouldn't live in a shitty place, that's for sure.
It'd be harder physically, but I do think the mental clarity.
You can't pick where you're born.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I think that
I think the mental clarity of being in tune with nature and not having social media and not having all this technology could potentially be a more connected.
So awakening.
But then we need this development. We need to develop and grow to this collective consciousness because at that hunter-gatherer level I guess we don't have to, but at that hunter-gatherer level, the collective consciousness is you and your tribe and your spoken history. And nowadays, our collective consciousness is so much more than that.
Right. We've gotten so far away from loving those who you're close to. It's so much more than that now. We have to. We can't live in that space. This is just not our reality.
Yeah.
We don't.
Got to pay your bills.
We don't have the option. Like we're so interconnected that we just can't. We can't even.
Dude, and then
like we have to address what we've created.
Yeah.
What our reality is now. It's a lot, and like we've subjected ourselves to it because in some ways it is great, but in a lot of ways it's cruel. And I think that duality is just, it's inevitable, man. It's inevitable.
I mean, life's a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's inevitable. You have to have that pit in your stomach to sing that note, and you gotta to raise people up. You know what I'm saying? You have to have that. I don't know. You got to.
The camera's probably about to cut off, so we'll end it before it does.
Turn into that hum. Y'all tune into that hum that we were talking about.
Oh, man.
And unite. Be good to each other.
Do you have any more travel plans as of late? Or do you think we'll be able to get another few weeks in a row in before we might have to skip another?
No, I'll be around. Right.
So we should be back to weekly. Not that anybody fucking missed us, but I enjoy the consistency. It's fun.
My goal is not to I don't know, man. Maybe the more we do this, maybe we'll figure some shit out. Maybe the more we do this, the more we can lead stronger lives.
Absolutely. And we're for sure learning from this and growing from it. And at the end of the day, it's just another one of my many hobbies that I fucking love doing.
I have no expectations. I'm trying to come into this with no
end goal.
Well, I don't want to have any expectation of someone else. You know what I mean? I don't want to go into it like trying to, because like a lot of what social media is nowadays is like, you try to cater to a certain,
Yeah, you feed the algorithm.
yeah.
And it's just like music, for instance. There's artists who chase hits, and there's artists who just do whatever the fuck that feels good for them to make. It's the same thing. We're doing this because it feels good. We ain't chasing hits.
Right.
And like Oprah says, do what you love, the money will come second.
Yeah. And I guess that's what I'm getting at. It's like I don't care about any one podcast. I'm not trying to like break it loose. I'm really trying to like, I don't know, maybe we can have some fun about, figuring out what the fuck is going on.
That's so much fun.
Make some jokes about it.
Yeah. Dude, you need to write like a tight 15 minutes, and then we need to cut it down to 5.
Well, here's my thing.
That's the way to do it. Hold on, listen. Thank you guys for listening. We'll cut it off now before we ramble for another half hour.